God has been trying to get your attention all day. Don't ignore this. Don't scroll, listen to this, because this message didn't arrive by accident and your heart needs this right now in a way you might not even be able to explain, but your spirit already understands it, so take a breath and stay with me, because God has been trying to get your attention all day. Through the delays, through the emotions that came out of nowhere, through the moments where you suddenly felt quiet inside, through the signs you almost brushed off, and if you're hearing this now, this message is for you. Don't scroll. Listen to this. God says you've been feeling something shifting today, like a gentle pressure on your heart, like something important is trying to break through the noise of your thoughts, and that feeling isn't random. Your heart needs this right now because heaven has been calling you softly, patiently, persistently. All day long, God has been sending whispers instead of shouts, signs instead of explanations, because your spirit has matured enough to recognize truth without needing proof. Don't scroll, listen to this. God says you saw repeating numbers today, maybe 1111, 222, 444, 555. Or maybe you felt drawn to something without knowing why, or you remembered someone unexpectedly, or a song hit your chest deeper than usual. That was not coincidence. That was alignment. That was heaven nudging you, saying, pay attention, something is unfolding. Your heart needs this right now because you've been questioning yourself lately, wondering if you're on the right path, wondering why things have been slow, why love has felt confusing, why your soul feels tired but hopeful at the same time. Don't scroll, this is for you. God says you've been strong for too long without rest, faithful without recognition, patient without reassurance, and today heaven wanted to remind you that none of that has gone unseen. Every tear you held back, every prayer you whispered quietly, every time you chose kindness even when you were hurting, it all mattered. Listen to this. God says the heaviness you felt today wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to prepare you. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual shift, and that's why emotions feel closer to the surface, why memories resurface unexpectedly, why your intuition feels louder than usual. Your heart needs this right now because you are awakening to a deeper level of awareness, one where you no longer ignore what your soul has been trying to tell you. Don't scroll, listen carefully. God is also speaking about love, about a soulmate connection tied to your destiny. There is someone whose energy is connected to yours in ways you can't logically explain. Someone who feels your absence, who senses your growth, who has been thinking about you today more than they admit. God says your paths are being realigned, whether through reunion, clarity, or release, and whatever happens next will be guided, not forced. Your heart needs this right now because love is not being taken from you, it is being refined. Listen. God says if someone has been drifting away, it's not punishment, it's protection. If someone is being drawn closer, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Don't scroll. Heaven is rearranging things behind the scenes, and even though you can't see it yet, your soul feels it. God says you've been asking for signs, and today He answered, not with fireworks, but with resonance. With that moment where something inside you said, "This feels meant for me." With that quiet pause where you felt seen without being touched. With that sudden calm that didn't come from circumstances, but from alignment. Your heart needs this right now because God is reminding you that you are never forgotten, never overlooked, never late to your destiny. Listen to this. What you've been waiting for hasn't been delayed, it's been prepared. What you've been praying for hasn't ignored you, it's been aligning with the version of you that's ready to receive it. Don't scroll, this is important. God says tonight is not just another night. It's a turning point. A moment where you stop doubting your intuition, stop shrinking your needs, stop questioning your worth. Heaven is asking you to trust what you feel, even if you don't understand it yet. And if your heart feels a little lighter right now, if something inside you softened as you listened, that's your confirmation. This message is for you. Stay open. Stay receptive. Stay faithful. Because God didn't spend all day trying to get your attention for nothing. And what comes next will make sense sooner than you think. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what God is revealing now goes deeper than what you've felt so far, and your heart needs this right now even if your mind is still catching up. All day long, heaven has been speaking to you in layers, and this is the second layer, the one that brings understanding to the emotions you couldn't explain. God says the reason today felt heavier than usual is because something old was loosening its grip on your spirit. You weren't just tired, you were releasing. You weren't just emotional, you were healing. Listen to this message is for you. God says you've been carrying silent questions about your purpose, your timing, your love life, and whether you missed something important along the way. But don't scroll, your heart needs this truth, nothing about your life is behind schedule. Heaven works in alignment, not haste. The delays you experienced were not denials, they were protection. God was shielding you from connections that weren't ready for your depth, from opportunities that would have cost you your peace, from love that didn't yet know how to hold your heart gently. Listen. God says you are stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion, where peace replaces pressure, where truth replaces guessing. That's why today felt like a pause, a holy pause. Where heaven slowed everything down just enough for you to notice the signs. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. God says someone connected to you spiritually has been feeling this shift too. A soulmate energy. A person whose soul recognizes yours even if circumstances have kept you apart. They felt restless today. They felt pulled inward. They felt you without knowing why. God says this connection is being refined, not broken. Whether through reunion or release, what happens next will serve your highest good. Listen to this. God says you've been seeing angel numbers more frequently because your intuition is awakening. 111 reminding you that new beginnings are forming. 222 whispering that alignment is happening even when you can't see it. 444 assuring you that you are protected. 555 signaling that change is not coming, it's already in motion. Don't scroll, your heart needs this reassurance. God says you are not meant to walk into your next chapter carrying doubt from your last one. That's why old emotions surface today, to be acknowledged, not feared. To be released, not relived. Listen. God says you are learning to trust your inner voice again. The voice you silenced when life disappointed you. The voice you doubted when prayers felt unanswered. But today, heaven reminded you that your intuition is not broken, it's becoming sharper. Don't scroll, this message is for you. God says tonight will bring clarity in ways you don't expect, through dreams, through a sudden sense of peace, through a quiet knowing that settles your heart. And when that happens, don't rush it. Receive it. Let it anchor you. Because what God has been trying to tell you all day is this: you are being guided into something meaningful, something aligned, something that will finally feel like relief. And if your chest feels lighter right now, if your thoughts feel calmer, if your breath feels deeper, that's confirmation. Heaven is close. God is near. And this is only the beginning. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what God is revealing now is the part your soul has been quietly waiting for, and your heart needs this right now even if tears come unexpectedly, because this is the moment where confusion turns into clarity. God says the reason your spirit has felt restless lately is because you are standing between who you were and who you are becoming, and that space can feel uncomfortable, emotional, even lonely, but it is holy. Listen to this message is for you. God says you've been feeling a strange mix of hope and exhaustion, faith and frustration, strength and sensitivity, and that's because you are shedding an old version of yourself that survived, struggled, and stayed silent just to keep going. Don't scroll, your heart needs this truth. Heaven is not asking you to survive anymore, it's inviting you to receive. God says today was a spiritual checkpoint, a moment where heaven paused your momentum just long enough to make sure you didn't carry unnecessary weight into the next chapter. That's why old memories resurfaced, why names crossed your mind, why emotions hit harder than expected. They weren't meant to pull you backward, they were meant to close unfinished loops in your heart. Listen. God says someone you loved deeply once, or maybe still do, has been feeling this shift too. A soulmate energy, a karmic connection, or a divine partner tied to your growth. They felt uneasy today. They felt reflective. They felt a pull toward honesty. God says whether this connection returns transformed or releases completely, it will happen with clarity, not confusion. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. God says you are done begging for bare minimum love, done shrinking your needs to keep peace, done questioning your worth when others couldn't meet you at your depth. And heaven applauds that growth. Listen to this, your awakening is making room for a love that feels safe, steady, and spiritually aligned. That's why heaven has been filtering your connections. Not everyone who started with you can go where you're going. Don't scroll, this is protection. God says the signs you've been seeing are reminders that you are not walking alone. Every number sequence, every repeated symbol, every intuitive nudge is heaven saying, we're guiding you step by step. 111 is your reminder to trust the new beginning forming. 222 is your reassurance that things are aligning even when progress feels invisible. 444 is your confirmation that you are divinely protected. 555 is your signal that change is unfolding faster than you think. Listen. God says the fear you feel around change is normal, but staying where you are out of comfort would cost you more than stepping forward in faith. Don't scroll, your heart needs this encouragement. God says tonight you may feel lighter, quieter, more centered, and that peace is not emptiness, it's alignment. You are learning to let go without guilt, to trust without proof, to move forward without dragging the past behind you. Listen to this. God says you are closer than ever to a breakthrough you prayed for long ago, and it will arrive in a form you didn't expect but desperately needed. And if something in you feels settled as you hear this, if your breath slowed, if your shoulders relaxed, that is heaven confirming that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Stay open. Stay receptive. Because what God has been trying to tell you all day is becoming clearer now, and the next part of your journey will feel less like struggle and more like peace. Don't scroll, stay right here, because what God is revealing now is the layer your spirit couldn't hear until you were quiet enough inside, and your heart needs this right now more than ever. Listen to this. Today wasn't just emotional, it was instructional. God says the stillness you felt, the pauses you couldn't explain, the moments where everything slowed down were not delays, they were divine interruptions meant to realign your path. You've been moving forward carrying questions, doubts, and expectations that no longer match the version of you heaven is shaping, and God stepped in gently to say, "Wait, let me show you something first. Don't scroll, this message is for you." God says you've been searching outward for confirmation when the truth has already been growing quietly within you. That's why your intuition has felt louder lately. That's why certain conversations suddenly felt wrong. That's why some people felt distant without doing anything obvious. Your spirit was recognizing misalignment before your mind could explain it. Listen carefully. God says you are entering a season where discernment becomes your greatest protection. You won't need explanations. You won't need proof. You'll simply know. And that knowing will save you from heartbreaks you once would have walked straight into. Don't scroll, your heart needs this clarity. God says something you were holding onto emotionally, whether it's a person, a hope, or a version of the future you imagined, has been gently loosening today. Not because it failed, but because it fulfilled its purpose. It taught you something. It shaped you. It brought you here. And now heaven is asking you to release it with gratitude instead of grief. Listen, this message is for you. God says love is being redefined in your life. No more confusion disguised as passion. No more inconsistency mistaken for destiny. No more emotional chaos labeled as chemistry. Heaven is aligning you with love that feels peaceful, reciprocal, and safe. A soulmate connection that doesn't drain you, doesn't question your worth, doesn't make you feel like you're asking for too much. Don't scroll, your heart needs this hope. God says the person meant to walk with you into your next chapter is also being prepared right now. They're learning patience. They're shedding ego. They're healing wounds you never caused. That's why timing has mattered so much. That's why heaven delayed what your heart wanted immediately. Listen to this. God says when this connection finally meets you, it will feel familiar in the best way, not intense and confusing, but calm and affirming. And you'll know it's divine not because it's dramatic, but because it brings peace. Don't scroll, stay with me. God says tonight is about surrender, not giving up, but giving control back to heaven. You don't need to force answers. You don't need to chase clarity. You don't need to replay old conversations. Everything you need to know will be revealed at the right moment. Your job right now is to rest your heart. Listen. God says your prayers are not unanswered, they are unfolding. The seeds you planted in faith are breaking through the soil, and growth always happens where you can't see it first. That's why today felt quiet yet heavy, because transformation is happening underground. Don't scroll, your heart needs this reassurance. God says you are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not doing life wrong. You are exactly where you need to be for what's coming next. And if you feel calmer right now, if your thoughts slowed, if your chest softened, that's heaven letting you know you're aligned. Stay open. Stay trusting. Because what God started getting your attention for today is about to become clear very soon, and when it does, you'll understand why everything had to happen exactly this way. Don't scroll, stay with me, because what God is revealing now is the confirmation your spirit has been quietly asking for, and your heart needs this right now more than ever. Listen to this. God says the reason you felt unusually aware, sensitive, and reflective lately is because your spiritual sight is opening wider than it ever has before. You are no longer meant to move through life guessing, doubting, or settling. Heaven has been training your discernment, sharpening your intuition, and teaching your heart how to recognize truth without chaos. Don't scroll, this message is for you. God says there was a moment today, maybe small, maybe subtle, where you felt a sudden pause inside, like something whispered, "Pay attention." That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't overthinking. That was divine instruction. God was showing you what no longer belongs in your next chapter. Listen carefully. Some doors are closing not because you failed, but because you succeeded in learning what you needed to learn. Some people are fading not because you are unloved, but because you are outgrowing environments that once matched an older version of you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this clarity. God says you have been holding on to hope in ways that drained you, praying for things that no longer align with who you are becoming, and today heaven gently redirected your focus. Not away from love, not away from joy, but toward alignment. Toward peace. Toward what feels steady instead of uncertain. Listen. God says your soulmate connection is not lost, delayed, or denied. It is being protected. The love meant for you will not require you to chase it, explain yourself, or tolerate emotional confusion. It will meet you where you are, emotionally available, spiritually awake, and ready. Don't scroll, your heart needs this promise. God says the person meant for you has also been through refinement. They have learned through disappointment, grown through silence, and healed wounds that once made them unavailable. That's why timing mattered. That's why heaven slowed things down. Love that lasts must be built on wholeness, not desperation. Listen to this. God says you are stepping into a season where your peace becomes your compass. If something disrupts your inner calm, you will no longer ignore it. If something feels forced, you will no longer justify it. If something aligns, you will feel it instantly, like a deep exhale. Don't scroll, your heart needs this empowerment. God says you no longer need external validation to trust your path. You've prayed enough. You've waited enough. You've proven your faith through endurance. Now heaven is asking you to receive. Receive clarity. Receive rest. Receive confirmation. Listen, tonight is not about action, it's about surrender. Let go of the urge to control outcomes. Let go of the fear of missing out. Let go of the belief that you have to struggle to deserve blessings. God says what is meant for you will arrive without forcing, without fear, without confusion. Don't scroll, stay with me. God says the peace you feel right now is the clearest sign you've received all day. That calm isn't emptiness, it's alignment. And when you wake up tomorrow, you'll notice something different. A lighter heart, clearer thoughts, and a quiet confidence that wasn't there before. That's how you'll know heaven spoke to you today. Stay open. Stay trusting. Because God didn't spend all day getting your attention just to leave you where you are, He's preparing to move you forward gently, purposefully, and right on time. Don't scroll. Stay with me just a little longer, because what God is revealing now is the layer that settles everything your heart has been carrying quietly, and your heart needs this right now in a way words usually can't reach, but somehow these will. Listen to this. God says the reason you've been feeling calmer yet deeply emotional at the same time is because you are finally aligning with truth instead of fighting it. All day, heaven has been gently peeling back illusions you once relied on for comfort, showing you what is real, what is lasting, and what is no longer meant to remain in your life. Don't scroll, this message is for you. God says you've reached a level of maturity where you no longer need chaos to feel alive, where drama no longer feels exciting, and where uncertainty no longer feels romantic. Your spirit is craving peace, consistency, and honesty, and that craving is holy. Listen carefully. God says this is the season where your inner world becomes more important than external approval. That's why you've been less interested in proving yourself, less reactive to negativity, less attached to opinions that once mattered deeply. You are not disconnecting from life, you are reconnecting to yourself. Don't scroll, your heart needs this reassurance. God says you are becoming selective not because you're cold, but because you are wise. You are learning that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your time, your energy, your love. And heaven celebrates this boundary. Listen. God says the peace you're building now will protect you from repeating old cycles, from entertaining familiar pain, from reopening doors that cost you too much the first time. Don't scroll, this is divine growth happening in real time. God says there is a shift occurring in how you experience love. You are no longer drawn to intensity without stability, to connection without commitment, to words without action. Heaven is recalibrating your desires so your heart recognizes safety as attraction and alignment as chemistry. Listen to this, your soulmate, the one meant to meet you in this new season, will not arrive with confusion or inconsistency. They will recognize your value immediately. They will respect your boundaries instinctively. They will bring calm where chaos once lived. Don't scroll, your heart needs this promise. God says the waiting you endured was not to test your patience, but to protect your future. If certain connections arrived earlier, they would have met a version of you that was still healing, still overgiving, still doubting. Now, you are meeting life with clarity. Listen. God says tonight is a moment of sealing. What you've learned will not be undone. What you've released will not return in the same form. What you've healed will no longer control you. And the signs you've seen, those repeating numbers, those sudden realizations, those moments of deep peace, are confirmations that alignment is locking into place. Don't scroll, this is important. God says you may notice in the coming days that certain people fade quietly, certain conversations stop naturally, certain desires no longer pull at you the way they used to. That is not loss. That is alignment finishing its work. Listen. God says what's ahead doesn't require you to chase, convince, or compromise yourself. It will meet you halfway. It will feel mutual. It will feel safe. And when it arrives, whether in love, purpose, or opportunity, you'll recognize it not by excitement alone, but by peace. Don't scroll, your heart needs this final reassurance in this part. God says you are no longer waiting for permission to become who you are meant to be. You are stepping into it quietly, confidently, faithfully. And heaven is walking with you every step. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay receptive. Because what God has been trying to get your attention for all day is now settling into your spirit, and the next chapter will feel like relief, not resistance. Don't scroll, stay right here, because what God is revealing now is the final layer before everything shifts, and your heart needs this right now in a way that feels gentle but undeniable. Listen to this. God says the reason your spirit has felt unusually still today, even after everything you've processed, is because you are standing at the threshold of acceptance. Not resignation. Not giving up. But acceptance of truth, acceptance of timing, acceptance of who you are becoming. All day, heaven has been guiding you toward this moment where resistance softens and trust takes over. Don't scroll, this message is for you. God says you have been carrying an invisible weight that no one else noticed. The pressure to hold it together, to stay hopeful, to keep believing even when answers didn't come. And today, heaven wants you to know that weight is lifting. Not because life is perfect now, but because you no longer have to carry everything alone. Listen. God says your prayers have shifted from desperation to surrender, and that is a powerful turning point. When you stop asking why and begin trusting what, alignment accelerates. Don't scroll, your heart needs this truth. God says there is a deep peace being planted inside you right now, a peace that will remain even when circumstances fluctuate. This peace is your anchor for what's coming. And something is coming. A conversation that brings clarity. A realization that brings closure. An opportunity that feels meant. A connection that feels safe. Heaven is not vague about this, it's intentional. Listen to this. God says the soulmate energy surrounding you is strengthening, not fading. The person meant to meet you in this next chapter is becoming emotionally available, spiritually aware, and ready to recognize you without hesitation. They will meet you with consistency, not confusion. With effort, not excuses. With presence, not absence. Don't scroll, your heart needs this promise. God says the waiting is ending not because you forced it, but because you matured through it. The lesson stuck. The growth stayed. The healing settled. That's why this season feels quieter. You're no longer fighting yourself. Listen. God says tonight is about rest. Real rest. Not distraction. Not numbness. But the kind of rest that comes when you trust heaven's timing more than your own understanding. And as you rest, alignment continues to work on your behalf. Don't scroll, this is divine reassurance. God says when you wake up, you may notice subtle changes, a lighter chest, clearer thoughts, less urgency, more confidence. Those are signs that something inside you locked into place. And from this point forward, you'll move differently. You'll choose differently. You'll love differently. Not out of fear of loss, but out of respect for peace. Listen. God says what you've been seeking has been seeking you too, and now that you've released what was weighing you down, the path between you is opening. Stay receptive. Stay gentle with yourself. Stay trusting. Because what God has been trying to get your attention for all day is no longer a whisper, it's becoming reality, and the next chapter will feel like alignment, not effort. Don't scroll, stay with me until the very last word, because what God is about to seal right now is the reason your soul felt pulled to this message in the first place, and your heart needs this right now more than you realize. Listen carefully. God says this is the moment where everything you've been sensing finally settles into truth. All day, heaven has been gently guiding you toward this exact point, not to overwhelm you, not to scare you, but to awaken you to how deeply supported, protected, and loved you truly are. God says the journey you've been walking has not been easy because you were never meant to live an ordinary life. You were meant to live an aligned one. And alignment always comes after refinement. Don't scroll. This message is for you. God says every delay, every unanswered prayer, every emotional test was shaping your discernment, teaching your heart what it deserves, and preparing you for blessings that require emotional maturity to sustain. You were not being ignored, you were being prepared. Listen. God says tonight marks a closing of cycles. The confusion you once felt will not follow you into the next chapter. The pain that taught you lessons will not repeat itself. The people who couldn't meet you where you were will no longer have access to where you're going. This is not loss. This is elevation. Don't scroll, your heart needs this reassurance. God says love is coming into focus for you, not chaotic love, not conditional love, not love that drains you, but love that feels calm, safe, steady, and mutual. A soulmate connection that honors your boundaries, celebrates your growth, and meets your effort with effort. God says this person is closer than you think, spiritually and energetically aligned with the version of you that exists now, not the one you used to be. Listen, heaven says timing mattered because you needed to trust yourself before trusting someone else. Don't scroll, this is divine confirmation. God says the signs you saw today were not just signals, they were invitations. Invitations to let go of control. Invitations to rest your heart. Invitations to trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. And here's the part your soul needs most. God says you no longer have to fight for what is yours. What is aligned will flow. What is real will stay. What is divine will find you without forcing. Don't scroll, stay with me. God says tonight, as you lay down, you may feel an unexpected calm wash over you, a sense that something heavy finally released. That's alignment settling into your spirit. And tomorrow, you'll move differently. You'll speak differently. You'll choose differently. Not because you're trying, but because you're ready. Listen. God says this chapter ends not with noise, but with peace. And peace is the greatest confirmation heaven can give. If you felt this message in your chest, if something softened inside you, if your breath slowed even slightly, then this was for you. Don't scroll away without acknowledging it. In your heart, whisper, I receive this. And trust. God didn't spend all day getting your attention just to leave you unchanged. This is the beginning of something beautifully aligned.